11 Rules for Raising Children in Ancient Rome. 1. Infants were swaddled tightly. Roman babies were wrapped tightly in cloth strips. Swaddling immobilized them and kept their limbs straight. This was thought to help them grow properly. 2. Fathers had absolute authority. The father had the power of life and death over his children. His word was the law. He could legally sell any family member into slavery. Roman law had a grim rule. For daughters, fathers could sell them against their will. This usually happened due to extreme poverty. 3. Child mortality was high. Up to 1/3 of infants died in their first year. Many did not survive past age 10. Families couldn't get attached to newborns. The 8th or 9th day after birth marked the day of purification. Romans didn't see a baby as family until after this day. Rites led up to the final day. The father laid the baby down and then raised it up. 4. Strict discipline was enforced. Coddling and sheltering kids were seen as weak parenting. Corporal punishment was accepted and encouraged. Children were beaten for transgressions. Whipping, slapping, and caning were considered normal disciplinary methods. Quintilian advised fathers not to be extremely severe, yet he still endorsed beating for a proper upbringing. 5. Infanticide was allowed. Infanticide was common in ancient Rome, especially for sick, deformed, or weak babies. It was seen as practical to control family size. 6. Sons were preferred over daughters. Girls were considered a disappointment and an expense. They received less food, medical care, and education. Some baby girls were abandoned, simply because they were not worth raising. 7. Child labor was standard. Children as young as 5 or 6 worked around the house or family business. By their teens, many labored long hours in harsh conditions. There were no laws protecting children. 8. Formal adoption was common. Wealthy families often adopted boys to be heirs. Adopted sons had all the rights of biological children. 9. Milk could be seen as barbaric. Some upper-class Romans viewed breastfeeding as something only animals did. Milk was for uncivilized barbarians. 10. Schools were private and fee-based. Only children from wealthy families received schooling in reading, writing, rhetoric, etc. Boys attended starting around age 7. Girls learned domestic skills at home. There were no public schools. Parents paid a literator to teach groups of boys. Schoolmasters were very strict. They used reed canes and birch rods to punish laziness or mistakes. Outside of the upper classes, literacy was limited. Perhaps 10 to 15% of men and only a small number of women could read or write. 11. The minimum legal age for marriage was 12. Roman law allowed girls to marry at 12 and boys at 14. The ideal age for a bride was late teens. Adultery was a crime for women. A married woman caught committing adultery could be legally killed by her father or husband. Men did not face this.